Hi, I'm Mike Freeman. I do Elvis tours in Memphis. Today we're doing an Elvis tour in Tupelo and Nashville. We're 100 miles from Memphis here in Tupelo, Mississippi. We do the tour here because we're starting at the beginning. This is where Elvis Presley was born. In fact, he was born inside the very house that is behind me. And as you can see, it's a humble home, 2 rooms. The house was equipped with no electricity, no running water, no plumbing. Elvis Presley's life was a rags to riches story, and this is the rags of it, if you will, the humble beginning. Elvis actually lived in this house only 3 years. Another tragedy unfolded. Vernon, his father, was caught doing something he should not have done, and he served 8 months in the Mississippi State Prison. He also lost his home, and the family had to move again. Their lives through Elvis's first 13 years here was a struggle. Keep clothes on their back, food on the table. Finally, in 1948, they left Tupelo for Memphis to seek greater opportunities. Today, this house has a very different status. It's the most visited home in the state of Mississippi. It's part of the Elvis Presley Birthday Park, a Tupelo facility. And the home has been restored to approximately its appearance in 1935. Also on the grounds is a museum that describes Tupelo and Elvis's life during the 1930s and 1940s. It's a chapel that's dedicated in his memory, a statue of him at age 13. We're going to start our Tupelo and Nashville tour here. We're going to see many sites in Tupelo that were part of Elvis's childhood, but before we leave this birthplace, we're going to talk to a couple of Elvis's childhood friends. All right, let's go. We're here with Guy Harris, one of Elvis's friends, one of his best friends when he was a child. Now, you grew up around here, is that correct?
That's true. I was born and raised at 207 Adams Street, which is right in front of the Assembly of God Church down Adams Street. The street was named after my grandfather, Guy Adams.
Really? When do you remember, when did you meet Elvis for the first time? Do you remember?
Well, of course, he was 3 years older than I was, so I had a little catching up to do. But I guess really, actually, when we were kids, just out playing and all, we got real thick because Gladys, his mother, and my mother were always friends through the years, and you know, best of friends. And so our relationship and friendship just began at a very young age, you know.
What sort of things y'all used to do? You used to get in trouble, didn't you?
Well, we did do that pretty often. You know, we would, especially if we went to the swimming hole, that was off limits to us. But that was just part of it, I guess. We made about everything we played with. We made back in those days. We would make little toy cars, and we'd play on the houses with them. You know, we'd spend a day or two making us a flying Jenny, that we called it. It was a pole stuck up in the yard with a axle drove down in the top of it, and we'd make us a couple of wooden boxes and put it on each end and put axle grease on the top of it, and we would spin each other around in it. And,
oh my goodness.
And you know, just whatever we could come up with to entertain ourselves, because in this area out here there wasn't a lot of money back in those days, but you know, everybody was happy, everybody had a good time, and really enjoyed being with each other and all that.
Well, you had to be creative to have fun back then.
Well, you know,
you didn't have a lot of gadgets to buy.
Yeah, you know, everybody had a sense of humor, you know, and a lot of those kids, you know, them being a little ahead of me about 3 years, they'd come up with some of these things that, you know, that like we built a boat one time, and they had me holding I had a wire around a can of tar and holding it over open fire, melting a tire to pour in a boat to keep the water out. Well, the can failed and the tire went all over my arm, and I got severely burned on one of my arms that day. And of course, I don't think the burns hurt as bad as my whipping I got from my mom for being involved in that. So as you see, we just had really had a good time. We went to school together, we went to church together, we played together, and back in those days, it was really probably a 7-day-a-week deal, unless somebody was out of pocket. You know, also the other kids around our area played with us. Up on Kelly Street, it was the Farrells, the Clarks, the Morgans, some Presley. The Presleys lived up there also. Elvis's cousins and things, and which were always a little bit younger than we were, but. You know, it was just a fun time in East Tupelo in those days.
Did y'all play any sports?
We played touch football, we'd play basketball, we'd play softball, we'd play wiffle ball, and just, you know, everything that kids do. And occasionally in the winters we'd get a snow occasionally, and we'd have a lot of good snowball fights back in those days.
I can imagine Tupelo getting snow, but I guess it did.
Yeah, you know, it was few and far between, but we got more snow back when we were kids than we do in these days now. But I'd say mostly, and we would get out and go up and down the streets, you know, where the city had cleaned out the ditches for the water runoffs, and we'd pick up iron and we'd save it till we'd get us 2 or 3 wagonfuls of it, and then we'd pull it into town and sell it and get us a little money to go to the movie on a Saturday. We usually got to go to the movie if we had the money about once a month.
Once a month for movies?
Yeah. And you know, in the movies, 10 cents for one of them to get in, and the other one was 15. So we got to go to 2. We got to go to one about 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, and then the other one had started at 1. But our mode of transportation was by foot, so we had to walk into town and walk out. But we were always had to be home before dark.
Yeah.
On any given day that they'd give us permission to go into town and do stuff like that.
Were your parents strict on you?
Very strict. You know, it was, I guess you've noticed through the years, and noticed him as he's coming up there in Memphis after he moved there, it was always yes ma'am and no ma'am, and it wasn't just you know, to your, it was always to all your superiors, the people that older than you and all that kind of stuff, you know, that we did it. And if you happen to not make that yes ma'am and no ma'am, when you got home, you paid the fiddler for that too.
Oh my!
Yeah. So everybody was, all these kids in this area was disciplined real well. We didn't think about. There was a few that smoked cigarettes and things. Now, he and I never smoked any, and a lot of those guys that grew up with us, they never smoked until they got grown.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I never did take up the habit. You know, just one habit. I never did like the habit, so I never did take it up. And I would question them as to why did you wait till you get grown to do this? You know, knowing the answer that was they didn't want their parents catching them doing this sort of stuff. And we'd play in these woods here back to our left here. Back in those days, we call those Reese's woods.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the wood, actually the wooded area started just north of our house there, and went probably up about 2 or 3 miles, and then we'd walk that area. We'd play in those pastures out there where they let cattle graze. Of course, the city's got some real nice ball complexes in that area at this time, but we would play in those areas down there, and we'd always try to make it a point to go to our favorite swimming hole. If we had a chance, we would slip us out something to swim in, and if we didn't, we'd just go in the nude. Of course, we was all just little bitty fellas and
skinny dipping.
We
Oh
called
boy!
it. But we had a nice sandy beach on the west side of the creek. Of course, my brother and I were the smallest in the two. If he was with us, playing with us, but some of the bigger guys would always get us across the deep water and get us to over on the beach side, and then they would play with us out in the water and stuff and watch after us real close. But those parents still didn't go for that.
They didn't know.
It was what I liked about it. Everybody was real close. Close knit, and all that kind of stuff, and so we really had a wonderful time together.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yeah. Even though Elvis left for Memphis, you still continue to be friends with him, is that right?
We did, yeah. He would, of course, they would come back here on occasion, and we would visit. In fact, when Gladys Vernon and them left Tupelo and Elvis in the 40s, well. My aunt left Tupelo and went with them because they all left East Tupelo here seeking work, and that was the reason for going to Memphis. And they all lived in the same boarding house. I don't remember exactly where it was at up there. And the Presleys lived on one side, and my aunt and this other friend of hers is up there, which I don't recall her name, lived on the other side. And they ate dinner together probably, my aunt would say, 2 or 3 nights a week, and then, they would let them have their privacy also. But it was, for them, it was just like, it was somebody there that they knew. They wasn't just there alone, Of course, he probably made friends a lot faster than his parents did because I'm sure Gladys got out mixed and mingled, but now in those days when Elvis was growing up, well, Gladys she stayed home and kept Elvis, and I think that probably continued on after they went to Memphis.
Yeah.
There. But we would visit Graceland on Sunday afternoons. We'd try to be there around the noon hour because we knew that we were going to get something to eat. Because he would be getting up about that time.
Good timing,
and
good timing. Yeah, that's good timing. Yes, it was.
And we'd go in. Well, we'd holler at Vester. Vester used to live in the house with my aunt, just 3 houses down the Reese Street here on the right. And my aunt lived on one side, Vester and them. So my brother would either get out of the car and holler to Vester to open the gate for us, or either he would just roll the window down and holler, "Investor, let us in," and he'd call up to the house and say, "Well, the Harris boys is on the way up there." So we'd drive on up and park out in front of Graceland and go in, and Gladys would usually be sitting around in there, her and Miss Minnie and of course the cooks and Vernon and all of them would be mixing and mingling, and so she'd say, "Tell the cook what you guys want to eat," and then she always called me Guy Thomas. If you'll know, in the olden days, just about they used the whole name, kids, so she'd say, "Come here, Guy Thomas, tell me what's going on down at home." In fact, I think that East Tupelo here was always home to her, and it was just, if we didn't go up there every week, it was probably every other week or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And after he'd come down, and after we'd sit there and talk and have a little visit, then we'd go outside. We'd either play touch football out on the north lawn of Graceland, or we would go out back and look around and just talk and just have a good time visiting with each other. It was always, there wasn't any difference in the time that the Presleys moved from where they did to Graceland, when they left East Tupelo with us, as it was any other time. I mean, the door was always there, open for us.
You mean
they were always welcome?
They didn't act any different because they had a lot more money? Or?
Not a bit. And in fact, Gladys, when my mother and them would visit with Gladys and them at Graceland, which she did in over on Audubon Drive and in Memphis also, she would always ask my mom. She'd say, "If there's anything you need, anything I can do for you," and you know, on occasion, her mother had, you know, some things going that us kids didn't know about. But I mean, we knew about it, but we didn't ask any questions. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
That's just one thing that the kids in the early days didn't do. You never question your parents about anything.
So Elvis really was the same guy. He didn't change.
Yeah, he was the same guy toward me, Mike. You know, the last time that I really had a very long visit with him, probably when in 1970, he and Bill Marsh, the former mayor of Memphis, and also the county sheriff there in Shelby County visited down here. And you know, I was on the Tupelo Police Department back in those days from '63 to '83, and so he called and said they were coming into town, and we had a good visit that time. And he and I and Priscilla, we came out here to the park just about dusk dark. We walked around and talked and that kind of stuff. And I remember him telling Priscilla as we was walking out across the front of the museum here that he told us that, well, Guy Thomas was my best friend when I lived in Tupelo. He said we had a lot of good times in this area up here together. And he wanted to know if many people came and swam in the swimming pool up here. It's on the park. And also he wanted to know if me and Junior, my brother, ever played any ball over there on the ballpark. And I told him yeah, and he was satisfied with that. So he was pretty well satisfied with everything.
Yeah. Did he come back to Tupelo that often?
Well, he did more in the earlier days, Mike, than he did, say in the 50s, the late 50s.
Yeah.
I'd come in from school a lot of time, and I'd see his car sitting in front of the house whenever I would turn the corner headed for the house, and I said, well, OEP's down. And so him and my mom might be sitting there talking. He might have come in around noon or something like that.
Yeah.
She'd fix him a bite to eat if he wanted something, and they'd sit around and talk. And you know, she always, you know, and she said he really enjoyed sitting around just talking to her, because he always thought a lot of my mother, and he always called her Miss Faye. Of course, we always just called Gladys, you know. But you know, if we were playing at our house back in those days, in the early days, well, and my mom, if Gladys was out of pocket for something, if Mom disciplined me and my brother and whoever else was there, including him, she disciplined him.
Really?
And it was vice versa. If we were playing at the Presleys, or you know, at his house, it was vice versa. I know one day. On this lot just south of us here, he and I spent, I don't know, the biggest portion of a morning digging up old wild rose bushes and replanting them. Just something to do, just something for us to get out and do is what it amounted to. Yeah.
Got in trouble for that?
Oh, well, no, not really. You know, I wound up taking one down to our house, and I planted it right beside the house, and the thing would grow up on the side of the house in the summer. Of course, my mom liked roses, so she didn't complain a whole lot about that. But she said, son, you could plant that rose bush anywhere except right there, you know. And I agreed with her, you know. But of course, you know, I was scared not to agree with her. I know one time I had got into something down there, and she said, go get me a limb off that tree out there. Well, I went out there and found the smallest thing I could get, just cut it off real quick, took it in. Well, she whipped me about 2 licks, and that thing broke. Well, she grabbed the knife up. I said, "I'll go get it, Mama." She said, "No, you've had your opportunity." so it was just, but I mean, you know, a lot of respect for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. She didn't give her any lip.
No, you didn't give him any lip. You know, and if he was gonna get to go, so I know one time they was going swimming out the state park, man, and I broke down and started squalling and carrying on. And she said, "I've done told you can't go." Well, one of the Presleys said, "Well, if you'll let him go, we'll be sure we watch him." She'll say, "Well, that's the only way he's gonna go, is for y'all to be sure that you watch him real close." But you know, we were just close knit. I guess the people in this area back in the 40s and early 50s were as close as a lot of families are today. I still refer to this area, even though it's Presley Heights, Elvis Presley Heights, you know, I still refer to it as East Tupelo, but that's just been instilled in me for nearly 70 years now.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get out of my car. But however, I'm proud if they was going to change the name of anything, it was him or one of us.
Sure.
That grew up in this area, because he was a heck of a guy. I really liked him, and we were real close.
Yeah.
And
well, tell me about the big day, '56. He did the show at the fair.
oh yeah,
2 shows actually, but they had the parade for him and all that.
yeah,
And
yeah, they did. And
did you get to go to any of that
I
stuff?
did. I went to see him down there, and later on, I had a friend in Memphis, and I said something about the black velveteen shirt he wore at the fair. She said, "Well, would you like one of them?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, I'd make one just like it." I said, "Well, if you would, I'd appreciate it." And she did, you know, and you know, but I didn't actually get to visit with him that day, because you know, I was still in high school. This 56, that was in my senior year, 56, 57 school year. And I was graduating in the spring of '57, and but later on, I told him one day up Graceland when we were out back talking, I said, "Buddy, you owe me, I don't know, it seemed like the tickets might have cost $10 or something like that." And he said, "For what?" I said, "For having to pay to see you when you came to Tupelo to the fair that time." But what's amazing about that was, about 1953, he came down here, and he and I and Odell went to the fair together.
Oh, just on your own?
Yeah,
just on your own.
Yeah,
oh,
just
okay.
on, you know,
I didn't know that.
Before he had anything going, and you know, and he came down, and we went over to the fair, and we probably got there around 7:30 and spent probably till, I'd say 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning before. I tried to get him to spend the night with us, he and I and Odell, but he said that he better get back home. Said, you know, Gladys would be wondering what happened to him if he wasn't there when she woke up the next morning.
Oh my!
So even at that age, you know, and you know, and everything. Well, you know, you still, if you still live with your parents, you had obligation to them to do
really?
Whatever they ask of you.
So what y'all do at the fair all night?
Well, we just we rode some of the rides, and we'd run into people that he'd went to school with, and he'd stand there and talk to them a little while and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we went to that fair a lot of years together. But that particular day they had a big parade that day. This was in 1956. He was here in '56 and '57.
Yeah, to do the shows, right?
To do his shows, yeah. And
Yeah.
then we just had a big time, you know, and at the fair had a lot of good time together. We went over the fence like we'd always done all of our lives, you know, and just had a real good time doing this and doing that. He said something about driving a truck for the company he worked for there in Memphis, and And he said, but I don't want to be to do that all of my life. And I said, well, you know, I can understand that. I wouldn't either, you know.
Yeah.
And what was so amazing is him going into Sun Studios and asking Mr. Phillips, you know, about cutting a record for his mama.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, he asked me, he said, well, can you sing? He said, well, I think so, but I don't know what you think.
So he had already walked in the Sun Studio and you talked to him at 53?
He had, when I had talked to him later on, you know, when he had actually done this. And, he told me, he said, I just wanted to make Mama a record, you know, and he said, actually, I wanted to see how I sounded myself, you know.
Yeah.
And so I never will forget the first time that I heard it on the radio that my neighbor across the street that lived right behind the Assembly of God Church, a guy by the name of Ed Randall, hollered at me. I was washing my old car I had out there in the yard. He said, run over here right quick. Well, he was working on his old car. I thought maybe the guy had got hurt. And I went running over. He said, listen to that record. And I listened to it. He said, they got through. He said, who is that? I said, I don't know, but I said, it sure sounds familiar, don't it? He said, I know who it is, but said, I want to see if you can guess who it is. And I thought of everybody in the world but EP, so I said, no, Ed, I really don't know. I said, who is it? And he said, this Elvis Presley, it's your buddy Elvis. And I said, no, I said, you kidding? I said, and so, you know, I was hard-headed. I had to be sure, so I went home and I called a radio station. And I said, that record you played a while ago, that's all right, Mom. I said, who was that artist? And they said, Elvis Presley. And so I hollered back across the yard. I said, you was right, Ed. For one time, you was right, you know. And we had a big laugh about that. And I said, could you play it again? And so they said, well, we trying to play it about every 30 minutes because we're having so many calls for it.
Really?
Yeah, so we're trying to play it about every 30 minutes. So I stayed glued to that radio, and about 30 minutes they played it again. I could tell right off the old boy's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Guy, before Elvis moved away, did you see anything that would make you think he had talent to be an entertainer?
Well, Mike, you know, he had his little guitar that his mother had bought him over at the hardware store. And he asked us guys one day right across the street here, we were visiting with the kids that lived here where the birthplace is now in one of the houses. There were 5 of those houses and the Crowd Boys. So we were visiting with them over there by the Methodist Church one day, and so he asked us when we got through if we wanted to hear him play his guitar and sing Old Shelton. Of course, we told him sure, you know. And so we went on over to his house, and he went in and got his guitar and came out and sang Old Ship, and then I don't know, probably strummed 2 or 3 more that you know, that we all acted a fool on, singing, you know, and just having a big time, you know, how kids do.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you know, he always sang in the choir.
At church?
At church.
Okay.
At the Assembly of God Church. In fact, all of us kids made a big line for that choir on Sunday night, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I was a Baptist on Sunday morning and Assembly of God on Sunday night, you know.
So you went to different churches?
Well, yeah, I did, but that was real handy, and our parents didn't like us crossing the highway, you know, at nighttime anyway.
Yeah.
Because there weren't any red lights or anything in this town at that time, you know, and you know, and safety and a lot of other reasons too. So we just went to Assembly of God because of course they went there regular, you know, and we went there at night. I know it would be me, Odell, Elvis, some of the Clarks, other Clarks, and some of the Farrah kids, and Magdalene Morgan attended the Assembly of God Church. They were regulars. I heard her mom, you know, she was a friend of Elvis's in the early days, and just different ones, you know, and but I have people ask me a lot of time, well, how did he stand out, you know, above everybody else? Which, you know, if he didn't any of us notice it, you know?
Well, he was just another kid.
Yeah, just another kid, you know, at that time doing that. But we really spent a lot of good times together, even in the church house.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's another one of those deals that you didn't argue about. You knew what you was going to do on Sunday morning and Sunday night and on Wednesday night. Those 3 nights, that was church.
That was church.
Yeah. If anything was said, they'd say, well, you know, this is a church night.
Didn't I hear that Elvis was in a talent show?
He was, yeah. He was in a talent show at the Mississippi-Alabama Fair one year, and he came in second place to a young lady that was raised just around the corner from us here by the name of Shirley Jane Jones at that time. Of course, her name now is Shirley Jane Jones Gillentine.
Guy, thanks for talking to us. Appreciate it all. Learned a lot today from you.
Well, you know, I like to sit down with guys like you.
Yeah.
You've been a lot of inspiration to me once I found out, you know, you owned the first house that Elvis ever owned in Memphis, and we've, you know, our friendship has just grown through the years, and I sure appreciate sitting down and talking with you.
I've enjoyed a lot of your stories.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to leave Guy Harris now. We're going to talk to another friend of Elvis, another friend of Guy's. His name is James Osborne. I'm here with James Osborne, and I want to thank James for coming to talk to us. James is another one of Elvis's friends, and he's going to tell us a few stories. We'll start off with, where did you live when Elvis was here in Tupelo?
Well, I lived up by the school, just back of us here, about half a mile, something like that.
What's the name of that school?
I can't even think of it now. They've changed the name of it.
I think it's Lawhorn today.
There you go. Yeah, it's like Lawhorn.
Yeah,
sure is.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I went there, and they've changed the name of it, and you hardly ever hear it anymore.
The old name? Yes, sir. Yeah.
Then I moved to Tupelo, up in the other side of Tupelo at Milam School.
Milam School, okay.
And then his daddy lost this house here.
Yeah.
And they moved to another house, and they didn't stay there long. They moved over on Green Street.
Green Street.
That's up behind Milam School.
Okay.
And we got together again and started running around together again.
Sweet.
At Milam. And at times, after my brother, my brother wanted to see him and talk to him, and I let him go with me up there one time. His mama let me go.
Yeah.
Let him go. And we got up there, and he wanted to sing.
Elvis wanted to sing.
Yeah, he go around singing sometimes, you know, just humming.
Humming.
Yeah, and so I got him up there and talked to my brother, and my brother said, if I can teach him, says, I'll let him be on my program. So he sung Old Ship and God Bless My Daddy on it. Later on, my brother worked with him quite a bit, and he got him on there and done a good job.
Now, your brother had a radio show. What's your brother's name?
Mississippi Slim.
That was his stage name.
And he is on WELO in Tupelo.
All right.
And then he left here and went up to Nashville after.
Oh, I see.
After Elvis and them started moving out.
Yeah.
But Elvis would, when he sort of learned how to sort of beat on the guitar, he wanted to come and sing for the teacher. That's after his mama bought the guitar.
Right.
And he brought his guitar and put it in the classroom there, and every day at dinner, we'd all go eat dinner, and teacher said, if you go eat dinner, come back. And said, I'll let him sit up there on his desk and play the guitar and sing. So he'd sing Old Ship and God Bless My Daddy. That's
in class?
In class,
In class, okay.
Sitting up on top of the desk.
Oh, I'll be darned.
And I thought he'd done good myself. And everybody would just gather around him, and they're still gathering around him, ain't they?
Yeah, they are. Just a much bigger crowd these days.
That's right.
Much bigger crowd. Yeah.
He was great. He was great.
Yeah.
I liked him real well because he never fussed at you. he always agreed with you and everything, and I just thought he was a great kid.
Yeah.
I loved to be with him.
Cool.
And we went places. We went up in Shake Rag, and that was back to the behind you, and we'd walk up in there, and of course some of the blacks and the whites was fighting back in them days, you know.
Oh yeah.
And there's a little black boy that I knowed real well, and he said, I'll get y'all up there. And we'd go up there and sit on the porches at the store, the big store, and we'd sit on the porch, and they would play all day long up there.
The black singers.
Black singers would play and sing all day long.
Oh, I bet.
And Elvis sat there, and he would just clap his hands and sort of sing along with them, you know. And
oh boy.
he got that black music sort of that way, and he got the country music from my brother and from the preacher where he went to church.
Now,
he helped him some too.
The preacher could sing?
Yeah, he sung and also played the guitar too.
Okay, all right.
And he got a lot of music from him.
Oh.
And of course, I thought it was pretty nice. One thing that my brother said, I went in service and come back, and when I come back from service, Elvis had done moved to Memphis. And brother says, you know that boy that I let be on my program and sang? I said, you talking about Elvis? And he said, yeah. I said, Elvis has put a record out in Memphis and said he's going to the top. I said, I can't believe it. Said, do you remember what I said about him? And I said, no, I don't. I said that Elvis had a good voice, but he couldn't sing, couldn't keep a tune worth a flip. And says, I'm going to have to go and apologize to him. And about a year and a half later, I guess close to 2 years later, my brother come back through Memphis, and Elvis happened to be there.
Oh.
And he went up and he talked to Elvis's uncle on the gate, and he said, sure, said Elvis is here and he'd like to see you. Said, let me call him. And he called him, and Elvis said, send him up. So he went up there and drank the beer with him and sung with him, and they played. He said, Elvis, I got a thing to tell you, and said, I'm going to apologize to you. And he said, what for? And he told him that story.
Yeah.
It said Elvis just fell over the table laughing about it, you know.
Well, not everybody can get it always right.
No, yeah, my brother said, that's something. Said, I never would have dreamed that he had made it that big.
No, well.
He was just going to the top. Every time he put out a record, he'd go to the top.
Yeah, it must have been unbelievable. Must have been.
It sure was.
Yeah.
And it's still, you know, like there at the school, kids was gathering around him, and people still gathering around him, even though he's dead and gone. But he'll always be remembered as a good guy.
What kind of things did y'all used to do when you weren't singing, or when you wasn't singing? What sort of things y'all used to do?
Well, we used to go fishing together just a little bit, not all that often. We'd go fishing together down here in this little mud creek back to the behind us here. He would fish a little bit, and then he'd get tired of fishing, and he'd go out and wade in the water a little bit. He'd pull his pants off and his shoes off, and he'd go out in the water and wade around a little bit, and I'd get out there with him, and we'd keep water on each other and everything. And when we come back in, his mama said, what come you so wet? And he said, well, we got to throwing things in the water and wading a little bit in the water. She said, you know better than that now. Said, you know you ain't supposed to be in the water unless I'm with you. And she said, oh well, said he's a lot older than you, and said he'll watch after you.
So you were the watchdog. You were the
And he was just a good boy, and his mama was a good woman too. She was a great woman.
Well, James, you went to both schools with Elvis. So how was he? Was he a good student, average student? How did he do there?
Yeah, he was a real good student, and I think he couldn't have been no better. Of course, he was about average, you know, of not a real excellent student as far as his book work, and but mine was about the same as his. we talked a lot, and of course we done good. We passed, and that's the main thing, you know, is passing. Elvis was up there pretty high. He was better than I was, really.
Yeah. So you loved to fit. You did a little fishing with Elvis, a little swimming with Elvis. What else, what other kind of things did y'all do together?
Well, I'd put him on my bicycle, and he wanted to go around through town, and I asked his mama, could I ride him around on my bicycle? So I would put him up on the bars. I'd put a little pad on the bars, and I'd set him up on that, and he'd hold on to the handlebars, and we'd ride all over Tupelo. Back then, there wasn't much traffic, and you could ride pretty good without any problem. And we'd go around and to the different places, and a little cafe. We didn't have much money, but we'd sit there, you know, and drink us a drink or something, and then we'd get on the bike and go somewhere else. We was bad to go to the movie together at the Lyric Theater.
Oh, really?
And to tell you one little story that I thought was real good about Elvis, and we went to the Strand Theater. That was an old theater. And there was some girls sitting in front of us, and Elvis liked them girls, and I did too, and we'd talk to them, you know, and we was sitting there, you know, watching the movie and sort of whispering to them, and all at once there was some big old gopher rats. Them big old rats come running across the front of them girls. They come over the seats on top of us, and Elvis grabbed hold of her and hugged her real tight, and he just died laughing. It just thrilled him to death. And of course, them girls said, take me out of here, take me out of here, you know. And he said, I got you, I done run them rats off. But they didn't stay, they just run across the top of the seats and left. But he said, he come out, he said, how'd you like that? I said, oh, pretty good. He said, I liked it. Said, I don't know who them girls was, but they liked me.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty neat.
That's the only time you wished for rats in it.
Yeah. Oh, we was all the time doing things like that. And
well, riding a bike with, he's sitting in front of you on the handlebars, is that kind of not safe? Can you see around him to see where you're going or anything?
Well, the way he's sitting and everything, I sort of leaned to the right, and he was sitting back to the left, see? Sitting sideways on the bars and holding on to the handlebars. And of course then, it was real good traveling, because you didn't have you could ride on a blacktop, and it didn't have no cars much. Just now and then a car would come by you. But man, it's different now.
Yeah. Oh, much bigger town now.
Yeah, his mama let us ride like that. Of course, we'd get into town, we'd ride on the sidewalks, you know. Yeah. In town, but we'd go up to Duty's Diner. That was a little old freight car like that they'd made into a cafe at the other end of town. And we'd go up there and eat a sandwich or drink us a drink, and then we'd head back or go to the theater. You could get in for about a quarter. At one time it was a nickel. Get in the theater to see a movie.
Nickel.
Ain't that something?
A nickel.
And at times they'd have it like that. But we'd go to a movie and everything, and then we went to the fair together. We didn't have no money much, and we went to the fair together, and he made his picture at a place. He put a cowboy uniform on like and made his picture, and then I put the same uniform on and made my picture. It didn't have but one uniform, and so we couldn't make them together. I wanted to get them together, but they just had one uniform like that at the place where they made pictures. And of course mine's in the book up there, and his was in that book, but I think they left it out the last time they printed it. Oh. And accidentally left it out. They didn't know what they did. But we'd go around like that, and then we'd go in there to the fairground like and just walk around, because we didn't have enough money to do nothing with, except maybe to buy something to drink, or sometime we'd have enough money to buy something to eat. And we'd just stay for 4 or 5 hours, and we'd come out. Yeah. And we'd go back to his house and let his mama know that we was back. she wouldn't let him go much nowhere hardly. But she would with me because I was 2 years older than Elvis. And what reason I was 2 years older than Elvis and got with him is because my mama had cancer when she was 30 years old. And she would, they said that she wouldn't live for about 40 days and nights. They said she wouldn't live through the night. And they had her on a respirator and everything, and she had colon cancer, and they got it all though, and she pulled out of it and lived to be 92. I couldn't hardly believe that. My daddy never was sick a day in his life. He died at 76. But you never know what God's got in store for you, you know.
No.
And of course, me and Elvis, so excuse me, me and Elvis that put us right in the grade together.
But you lost some time at school. You had to stay
lost
back.
2 years.
Oh.
Daddy took me out because I couldn't study, and that gave me 2 years behind.
2 years behind.
Yeah.
So
so that put me right in the grade with Elvis.
I see. Well, James, we're talking about the fair. What about the famous show at the 1956 fair? Did you get to go to those shows? You know, Elvis did. He was a star this time. He was a star.
I didn't get to. I didn't get to go. I was. I just come back out of the Army. And I'd been in Korea and everything, and I was going to school to try to finish my high school, and I didn't have no time off. From working, so I didn't even get to go.
You missed that one.
And I hated it so bad. I started once to quit my job and go, and then you know, later on get me a job back somewhere else, but I didn't. I needed the money too bad at that time.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay.
I sure would have liked to seen him, man.
Yeah.
He was great. My cousin went, and she was right there on the front row, and Elvis kneeled down and kissed her, and she passed out. She was like that. And I said, "Why come you to pass out?" She said, "I was just thrilled so much, I just couldn't stand it, and I just passed out."
Oh my.
I laughed at her about that. Of course, a lot of them done that.
Yeah, a lot of them
A lot of them that passed out when he kissed her, and that's amazing. You know, somebody kiss you and you pass out on it.
It never happened to me. Nothing.
Elvis was always that way. He was. The women was crazy about him.
Yeah.
And he's always was famous every way you look.
Yeah.
And still is.
Yeah.
He still is. See, when he left here at 14, I was 17, and I was going back to school and here, and I never did get a chance to talk to him. Didn't know where he went, actually, when he went to Memphis. But when he started getting famous, then I could get in touch with him, but I couldn't. They wouldn't let me talk to him. And of course, my brother went by there several times and stopped, and he knowed Elvis's uncle that was on the gate.
Yeah.
And he went up and he said, "Oh Lordy, Mississippi Slim," said, "Elvis is here and said he'd like to see you. Said he's back on a rest period." Well, brother said, "I sure would like to see him." So he went up there and he told Elvis that I said that I hoped he'd get along okay, and it looks like he's doing great, and I think so much of him, and if he ever was in Tupelo, to come by and see me or let me know. And I left a message there, but he never did come back to Tupelo that I knowed anything about. I moved out then from Tupelo and went to Fulton, and then after he got sick, I tried to call him when he got sick, and I lived on a farm up there in Fulton. I had 87 acres up there, and I wanted him to come up and stay with me some while he was sick, and we would probably slip off and go fishing together, you know, and that way I lived away from anybody, and they probably wouldn't have known it unless he got seen or something.
Yeah.
And of course, I never did get the message to him. I know he'd come. He told my brother to tell me hi, and my brother, when he come home the second year, Elvis sent him a Christmas card and told him to tell James that I said hi. that I'd like to see him. But if I'm ever down that way, I'll look him up. And of course, it never did work out.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Sure is. James, I want to thank you for your time. I learned a lot from you today, and I appreciate you talking to us. We're going to leave you now. We're going to say goodbye to you. Our next stop is Tupelo Hardware Store. Behind me is a statue of Elvis at age 13, and he's holding the guitar. We're next going to show you where he got that guitar. On our way to the hardware store, we decided to stop here at the side of the old Assembly of God Church, just a short walk from the birthplace. The city has placed a plaque here in honor of the Assembly of God Church. This is where Elvis used to worship with his family. He was a member of the Assembly of God really all through his life, through Memphis and then beyond. He loved the gospel singing in the choir. And one of the ministers here in this Tupelo church was Reverend Frank Smith. He was a guitar player, and he used to walk about the congregation when he preached and played guitar, and he gave Elvis some guitar lessons. Elvis didn't have that many teachers on guitar, but Reverend Smith certainly was one. This congregation here is too poor to afford a piano or an organ, and Reverend Smith and his guitar playing filled that musical need. Elvis loved going to church. This one, the others in the area. Church to these people fulfilled more than just a spiritual need. It really filled an entertainment need, and that's what gospel singing was, both spiritual and entertainment. So we're going to leave this church in this little village they used to call East Tupelo and go into what they call the town, Tupelo downtown, and visit the hardware store. Let's go. Most places in this area around Elvis's birthplace home are within walking distance. We're now going 2 miles into town to the Tupelo hardware store. That's a long walk. We're just a couple miles from the birthplace now, downtown Tupelo on Main Street. We're in front of the Tupelo hardware store. It was great talking to Elvis's childhood friends. Now we're going to go inside and hear the story of how Elvis received his first guitar. His mother bought it for probably $7.90. So come inside. So we're now inside the Tupelo hardware store, and my foot is on the X. X marks the spot where Elvis received his first guitar. My friend Howard Hyde is going to tell us a little story about that. Howard?
Good morning,
Thanks
Mike.
for talking to us.
Good. Glad to have you in the store. Elvis came in our store in 1945. He was 10 years old, and he came in with his mother Gladys. When he came in the store, he came in the front door that you just walked in through now. And he walked on this exact same floor that you're standing on, and they came in to buy Elvis a bicycle. And when Elvis got to this counter where we're standing right now, he spotted a .22 rifle hanging on that wall up there where the poster is. And so Elvis decided that he wanted the rifle. Well, his mother said, no, you're not going to have the rifle. So Elvis got real upset and started kind of pouting and crying because his mama wouldn't buy him the rifle. Well, there's a man standing back here where I am right now, and his name was Forrest Bobo. So Mr. Bobo was trying to think of something to calm Elvis down. Well, there just happened to be a guitar in the top shelf of this showcase right here. So Mr. Bobo opened the door back here. He reached in and pulled a guitar out and handed it to Elvis, who was standing on the spot that Mike just mentioned. And Elvis took the guitar and strummed it and played with it a little bit. And his mother looked at him and said, Elvis, I'll buy you the guitar if you'll take the guitar. Well, Elvis played with the guitar some more, and he turned to his mother and he said, "Yes, ma'am, I'll take the guitar." And the fact is that Gladys did buy her son Elvis his first guitar standing on that floor in front of this counter at Tupelo Hardware in Tupelo, Mississippi. And we like to think that musical history was made right there at that spot.
Good thing he liked the guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
Give me some history of this store. It looks like it's been around here a little while.
Yeah, Mike, this store has been in business since 1926. It was started by my wife's grandfather, and it's currently third generation owned by George Booth. And George and my wife are first cousins. We're a famous hardware store. We've got people that come by here, thousands and thousands of people that come through the store every year for Elvis. And we even have people that come through just to view an old hardware store. This type of hardware store really doesn't exist much in our state. There may be 5 or 6 of this type store left. We specialize in nuts and bolts and screwdrivers and hammers and nails and pipe fittings and things like that. But our real claim to fame is Gladys buying her son Elvis his first guitar.
And you do sell a little of everything. I remember you selling a weather vane to someone from the UK, a friend of mine.
Oh, once. I absolutely remember that. If I remember
the flying duck.
The flying duck, and in fact, she was by here this year.
Oh, yes.
And I remember you had to. It seemed like it was a convertible, and you had to put the top down or something like that.
I rented the smallest car to transport the duck back to Memphis.
Right, yeah. But we have people from around the world, from Japan, Australia, Belgium, Germany. Most of the people truly that come through the store come from the UK and
oh, yes.
Scotland, Ireland, Wales, England, and they're just fun people. And I've only been here 5 years, but I've had people to come back for the 3rd and 4th time, you know.
Now, you sell something else in the modern day. What did you add 5 years ago to the inventory?
Like I mentioned, I've been here 5 years. And they were selling a few guitars when I came here, but we now sell, I'd say, 350, 400 guitars a year. And a lot of people buy the guitar not necessarily to play, they buy it to display. And, there's no other hardware or nobody in the world that can say that when you buy a guitar here, that they can say that they bought their guitar from Tupelo Hardware, where the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, bought his first guitar, which a lot of people says that makes us the most famous hardware store in the world.
Probably are.
Yeah.
Do you guarantee people have the same success as Elvis when they buy a guitar?
No, I don't. But a lot of people, when they buy it, they say, when I become famous, I'll come back and see you. And I said, right. But it's fun. I mean, this is a fun part of my job, and I really enjoy the people and enjoy people like you bringing tour groups down here, because I think you've been coming I know you're probably coming before I was here, but
oh yeah,
I know it's just a fun part of this job.
It is. I'm looking at this picture on the wall behind me. So there's been some famous people that come through here to buy a guitar.
Mike, there really has, and a few years back, the rock group Aerosmith came in here, and their lead guitar player is Joe Perry. And Joe came in, had them stop the bus. They were on their way to do a concert at our Coliseum over here. And Joe Perry told them to stop the bus. There's Tupelo Hardware. And he came in with his group, and Joe Perry walked through the front door and said, "I want to buy a guitar from where the king of rock and roll bought his first guitar." And I said, "Partner, you can sure do it." And he did. But he was the coolest guy, one of the coolest guys I've ever met. He has an Elvis room in his home just outside Boston.
That's a big Elvis fan.
He is a big one. And we have a country singer. Her name is Pam Tillis, and she's a member of the Grand Ole Opry, which is the ultimate for a country singer in our country. And she came in and also bought a guitar from me, and it was a thrill to have her in. Now, about 2 or 3 weeks back, maybe a month back, we had a famous man to come into town unannounced. He landed his plane at our airport, had an entourage with him, about 8 or 9 people, and he went to the birthplace, visited the Elvis Presley birthplace, went over here to a famous barbecue restaurant here in Tupelo called Barbecue by Jim's, and had lunch there, and then he came in our store, and it was Prince Albert of Monaco. And you talking about a thrill was having him in, and he is a huge Elvis fan, and it was pretty exciting having him to come in.
Elvis is everywhere.
Elvis is everywhere.
He is
exactly
absolutely
right.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh. We're going to leave the hardware store now, the place where they still sell guitars, and go off to Johnny's Drive-In, Elvis's favorite restaurant here in Tupelo. I want to thank Howard
Hey, Mike,
for
always
his time.
Always a pleasure to have you in our store.
Good to see you again. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
I hope so.
We're back on Main Street. You know, this was the site of a famous parade. 1956, Elvis did a show here in Tupelo, and the city put on a parade, something like Tupelo Welcomes Home Elvis. It was a very big deal, historic day in Tupelo. Tupelo, in fact, is very proud of Elvis, as you can see from this monument put here by the city. And we're going to go from this monument to the hardware store to Johnny's Drive-In. There's another monument for Elvis there. It was Elvis's favorite place to eat while in Tupelo. So let's go down to Johnny's. You know, Tupelo Hardware is a great old store. It doesn't look like it's changed in many years. We're in front of another place. It's another great old store, so to speak. It hasn't changed in 60 years. This is Johnny's Drive-In, the oldest restaurant in Tupelo, and it really does look like an old-fashioned diner. I say Elvis loved to eat cheeseburgers here with friends like James. But Johnny's had two different kinds of cheeseburgers. I had the all-meat cheeseburgers, what you and I might be familiar with. Then they had something called the dough burger. This is where they mix the hamburger meat with flour, a little bit of spice, and they blend it all together. And it tastes a little bit like a little bit like a hamburger, a little bit like a pancake. I don't know. It's not bad. You know, Johnny's like to mix the meat and the flour together to conserve the meat supply. That was a common practice during the poor years, the Great Depression years. And a lot of people in this town still like the old dough burgers. So we're going to leave Johnny's now and go to downtown Tupelo to a place that Elvis enjoyed a great deal, the old fairgrounds. We are here at the site of the old fairgrounds, and this is the site of one of Elvis Presley's most famous performances throughout his entire career. It was September 1956 Tupelo Fair, and newsreel footage of that concert was broadcast not only all over America, but all over the United Kingdom as well. It's probably where people in the United Kingdom saw Elvis in film for the first time. Today this is called Fair Park. In front of me is the City Hall, beautiful building, and then behind me is synchronized water fountain. It's a pretty place to be here in downtown Tupelo. There were two other famous performances Elvis gave here at the fairgrounds. In 1957, he was again the star of the show, and that was a benefit show. Elvis donated the money that he would have been paid to the city to buy the land to create what is now the Birthplace Park. Elvis intended that to be a recreation center for the children, and it was supposed to be called something like the Elvis Presley Youth Center. We now know it as the Elvis Presley Birthplace Park. Going back in time, 1954, long before fame, Elvis and his friends like James used to come to the fairgrounds, the annual Tupelo Fair. They wouldn't have a lot of money, but they'd walk around and see the carnival games, see the rides, see the noise and the attractions. And Elvis carried that love for carnivals and fairs to Memphis, where he spent a lot of time at Liberty Land and the Mid-South Fairgrounds. He also appeared at a talent show at Tupelo Fair. The year was 1945. Elvis was 10 years old, and he sang the song Old Shep. He actually stood on a chair to reach the microphone to sing that song. He was wearing a pair of glasses, which was very unusual. Elvis didn't wear glasses normally. Then or later in life. He didn't win the big prize. We're now going to meet Shirley Jane Guillotine, who competed in that talent contest. And we're going to meet her at the old school they both shared, Lawhorn Elementary. We're here at Lawhorn Elementary School. We're going to talk to one of Elvis's school friends, Shirley Jones Guillotine. Shirley, thanks for coming here today.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. I'd love to hear some of your stories. You went to school here with Elvis, right?
Yes, I did. He was in the 5th grade and I was in the 3rd grade, and we sang in chapel each morning here at the school. And his 5th grade teacher was in charge of the chapel program, and sometimes she had us to do other things besides sing, and sometime I sang with Elvis, duet with Elvis.
Oh.
And I sang You Are My Sunshine. I remember that song. And we had prayer and devotional, and then a little program afterwards.
What was the teacher's name?
Ms. Olita Grimes was his 5th grade teacher.
Okay. And so did you kind of run around and play with Elvis, or was it just the guys that kind of...
Well, he was 2 years older and he had his own friends, but we just, mostly we met in chapel each morning and did our singing together.
Oh, okay. And that chapel building is still standing here on this grounds? The old building is still here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you were the first woman to sing a duet with Elvis, is that correct?
Well, I don't know if I was the first, but I did sing with him.
Well, it could have been. Could have been the first. Now, there's a famous talent show, or at least one that I've heard about before, in
Yes.
1945.
Yes.
And he was in the talent show. How about... Tell me about your experiences there.
When our principal announced at the fairground, which the Fair Association was going to have a talent show, they chose Elvis and I to represent Lawhorn to go sing that day. It was on Children's Day, and I remember going over on the school bus with Elvis and going down to the fairground when it was time for the talent show, and I had to stand on a stool to sing. I don't remember if Elvis did or not because it was a tall microphone. And I sang My Dreams Are Getting Better All the Time, and he sang Oh Shep. And I won 1st place and he won 5th place.
You beat Elvis?
Right.
You beat Elvis in that contest and he won 5th prize?
Right.
Did he win a trophy?
No, I later heard that he on an interview that he had given from a Memphis broadcast, that he won 5th place and $5. And I won 1st place and a $25 war bond and a trophy.
Oh.
And free rides to all the rides in the fair.
Oh, well, that must have been fun.
It was.
Do you remember singing, or were you nervous?
Oh yes, I remember singing in the contest.
Yeah. Was it broadcast on radio or anything?
Oh yes, it was.
It was?
The contest was sponsored by WLO in Tupelo radio station.
Oh, so you had your first radio show
Right.
in the contest.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, tell me a little bit about being on stage.
Well, we just took our turn to sing, and like I say, I had to stand on a stool.
Yeah.
I was a little girl. I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
Back then, the mics were very tall. They didn't, have adjusted mics like they do this day and time.
Now, when they awarded all the prizes, were you all standing as a group?
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we after the contest was over, the audience, excuse me, the audience determined the winner by applause, and I guess I must have won most applause.
Really?
Yeah.
The audience did?
Right.
Oh, okay. So you got the first prize.
Right.
What kind of trophy did you get?
It was a pretty big trophy. When I was little, I could hardly carry it.
You were holding it in your hands, and it was as big as you?
Well, almost.
Really?
Right.
Goodness gracious. And do you remember what Elvis looked like then?
Well, he was a shy young boy, and his hair was light. I remembered after he became famous, I always remembered him being light hair. When I saw his dark hair on stage, I didn't really connect with that Elvis. Always the young boy that sang in chapel with me.
Oh, so he had light brown hair.
Light hair.
Light hair.
Blonde.
Almost blonde? Oh, goodness. That's not the Elvis that most people recognize.
I know.
Oh, they think of the dark hair.
I know.
So you sang on stage in the talent show, and you sang with Elvis in chapel. Did you think it would go anywhere? That he would go on to be a famous star, or?
Well, the only thing I really remember is about Elvis in his singing is he really liked to sing. He loved it. I guess more than the rest of us because we didn't go on like he did, but he really loved to do it. He liked to get up in front of people and perform.
But you had no clue he was going to be a big star?
Well, no, not really. Not at 8 years old, and not him at 10. I didn't. But
No.
I've always been so proud of him.
Yeah.
Proud to tell people that had known him at one time.
Yeah. Well, did you have any a chance to see Elvis or speak to him later on in life, or
No, not really. My friends did. I had a couple of good friends he used to come down to Tupelo and come to see them. And one of my best friends, Eloise Sandifer, was one of his first girlfriends, and she met up with Elvis in the hallway at one of the performances that he did in Tupelo. And he said, as they met, he said, well, Eloise Sandifer, and she said, well, Elvis Presley. And they embraced, and he said, well, I'll be dog.
I'll be dog. Oh, I'll be darned. And you didn't get a chance to meet with him?
I didn't really get a chance to meet him.
Okay.
I knew his relatives and all, but I didn't, get a chance to.
You knew his family?
Well, I knew of them because we all lived in the same community. And
You lived here in this neighborhood?
yes.
Oh, really?
I grew up here. I was born and raised in the same community.
Shirley, you both had a teacher that encouraged you to your talents.
Yes, Miss Alita Grimes she encouraged all the children that had any kind of talent to use it, and I'm sure Elvis she had a big influence on Elvis.
So much so that when he came back to Tupelo, he would see her?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. And he invited her to visit with him.
At Graceland?
Yes.
Oh, in Memphis?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
She let everyone know, even though we weren't the richest community in the world, that we could reach out and do as good as anyone else, And
Oh, well, that's interesting. So so a lot of these people that went to school here were really kind of poor,
well, we were maybe not rich, but we were rich in morals and values that our teachers and our ministers and all have given us.
And she encouraged you to kind of
to reach out and do bigger and greater things. She really did.
So it would have made an impact on Elvis.
Yes, it would.
Yeah. Well, the influence that teachers like Mrs. Grimes had on Elvis motivated him to go from 5th place at the talent show to bigger and better things.
Right.
Yes. Well, Shirley, you volunteered to do something for us. Give us a little sample of what it was like to perform at the talent show.
Well, I sang this little song. It was popular at that time. It was, well, what do you know? He smiled at me in my dreams last night. My dreams are getting better all the time. And what do you know? He looked at me in a different light. My dreams are getting better all the time. To think that we were strangers a couple of nights ago, and though it's a dream, I'd never dream we'd ever say hello. Well, maybe tonight he'll hold me tight when the moonbeam shines. My dreams are getting better all the time.
Oh, that was great.
Well, that was like, it was cute.
That was great. That was a great song. Thank you, Shirley, for giving us that little song. I appreciate the stories you've told, and perhaps we'll meet again.
Perhaps.
And from one school, Lawhorn Elementary, we're going now to Milam Junior High. So come on folks, follow me. Well, from Lawhorn Elementary in East Tupelo, we're back in the heart of the old town of Tupelo. This is Milam Junior High. This is Elvis's second and last school here in Tupelo. He attended here 6th grade, 7th grade, started 8th grade here in Tupelo, then they moved to Memphis, finished 8th grade at Humes Junior High in Memphis. Elvis continued to play guitar for his new classmates, and undoubtedly it was the same guitar his mother bought for him at the hardware store. Elvis, he got along well with some of the students here, but he had some problems with other students. You look around this neighborhood, you can see it's a very well-to-do area. It's far different from East Tupelo. And the other students came from this community. They were well-dressed. They wore the best clothing their parents could buy. Elvis, on the other hand, came to class wearing the farmer's clothing, the coveralls, the raggedy hand-me-downs, and he didn't like that at all. The students picked on him for his dress. He got in a fight with one boy who condescendingly offered to bring him an extra pair of pants and a shirt. And so Elvis came away from the school with some bad memories as well as good. And in fact, if you notice Elvis in his later days in Memphis, he never wore blue jeans, coveralls, or anything that reminded him of being a poor farmer's child here in Tupelo. He always dressed as fancy as he could be. So we're going to leave this well-to-do part of Tupelo and take a short trip north to the black neighborhoods of Tupelo. You know, the black influence was very strong here. And this is where Elvis picked up a lot of his blues, his gospel influence, mixing that, of course, with his own country background. So the ingredients of Elvis's musical career were right here in Tupelo. So let's go and talk a little more about that. So we're here in the north side of Tupelo, not that far away from the school, but a long ways in terms of neighborhood and economic status. This is one of the black neighborhoods in Tupelo, much poorer community. We're on the side of the Mayhorn Grocery, and Mayhorn store was a gathering place for the community. James told us a story about himself and Elvis coming to the neighborhood and listening to the blues singers. They would sing on Mayhorn's porch. There was a tip can in front, and that's how those guys would make money, from the tips from the audience. And Elvis was a very enthusiastic listener. A little bit later in life, Elvis gave an interview and he talked about his musical influences. And he mentioned Arthur Crudup by name. He said he saw Arthur Crudup here in Tupelo, and he always wished that if he could learn to play guitar as well as Arthur, he'd be a blues man like nobody ever knew. And you ask, who is Arthur Crudup? Well, he is the singer of the song That's Alright Mama, and the songwriter. And that, of course, is the first song Elvis recorded at Sun Records, the song that would launch his career. Across the street from Mayhorn is one of the many churches in this community where you could always hear gospel music on Sunday nights, sometimes on Wednesday nights. In fact, almost any night of the week there's some activity in all these churches, and that was another listening place for Elvis. Just as he would later in Memphis, when Elvis listened to these singers, they would sit in the back of the church and observe these gospel singers and absorb their music. From this side, we're going to another site in the traditional black neighborhoods in Tupelo. That's also where Vernon's last job was located. We've come from the modern day black neighborhood to the traditional black neighborhood, Shake Rag, or what used to be Shake Rag. Behind me, you see the new buildings. Shake Rag doesn't really exist anymore. Vernon's last job here in Tupelo was also in Shake Rag. He worked for the McCarty Grocery Company, delivering grocery products, whatever they sold, to the neighborhoods here. Elvis would tag along with his father when school was not in session, helping his father make deliveries in the old neighborhoods of Tupelo. This was Vernon Presley's last job in Tupelo. And the folks here don't always tell you how Vernon lost that job. Well, I'm going to do that now. It seems that in Tupelo, the liquor laws were very different then, and it was in fact illegal to buy and sell liquor in Tupelo, Lee County in those days. But young entrepreneurs would often go to a nearby location, stock up liquor in the back of trucks, bring it into the town, and sell it to their family and friends. Unfortunately, Vernon made the mistake of selling liquor off the back of McCarty's truck. He was discovered, and that was the end of that job. It was also in Shake Rag, this old rough neighborhood, where Elvis listened to the blues and gospel music that would inspire him so much. Sometime very shortly after, they made the decision to leave Tupelo behind and go on to Memphis. Well, this was the last of the bad news that took place during Elvis's childhood here in Tupelo. We're going next to Priceville Cemetery on the eastern edge of town to talk about an earlier tragedy in Elvis's life. This is Priceville Cemetery, Priceville Memorial Gardens. This is about 4 miles east of downtown Tupelo, 2 miles east of the birthplace. And this is where Elvis's twin brother is buried. The first tragedy of Elvis's life happened at birth. Gladys gave birth to Jesse Garin Presley, and he was stillborn. 30 minutes later, Elvis Aaron Presley was born. It was a difficult pregnancy, a difficult birth, and in fact Gladys almost lost her life. This will be the first of many tragedies that would make their lives difficult here in Tupelo. Today, Elvis's twin brother is buried in an unmarked grave in the rear of the cemetery. The exact location is a bit of a secret, and maybe it should be a secret given Elvis's enormous fame. Because there was an attempt to steal Elvis's body in August 1977, Forest Hill Cemetery in Memphis, perhaps it's a good thing that we don't know the location of Jesse's grave today here at Priceville Cemetery in Tupelo. We're going to leave this sad place and go to where Gladys worked when she was pregnant with Jesse and Elvis. It's a clothing mill on the south side of town, just a short drive away. We're heading back towards the center of town from this peaceful cemetery. Tupelo has changed a lot since Elvis's day. The cemetery was once well out in the country, and now there's homes almost surrounding it. It's really a part of the city these days. Before the freeway was built on the other side of town, this two-lane road here was the principal highway between Birmingham, Alabama and Memphis, Tennessee. This was the old Highway 78, 100 miles from Memphis, about 130 miles from Birmingham. Now it's Main Street, part of the city. So we're coming into the East Tupelo area now, and you can see the blue banners on the telephone poles, which gives us the new name of the neighborhood, Presley Heights. And we're passing by the creeks that Elvis and Guy and James and the other boys used to swim in, the old swimming hole, which doesn't look like much today. We are in Mill Village, south side of Tupelo, and behind me are several old cotton mills. And back in the 1930s, a lot of the poor farmers came to Tupelo to take factory jobs in the mills. And one of those was Gladys Smith Presley, future mother of Elvis Presley. She would work in the mills after becoming pregnant with Jesse and Elvis, and stop working the mills after that very difficult birth. Not too many years later, Vernon got in trouble. He went to prison, and Gladys, of course, had to go back to work. She would, in fact, move to nearby Maple Street. We're not certain when or for how long she lived here. Let's face it, folks, no one was keeping track of the Presley family in those days. It was as long before Elvis became world famous, so we only know approximately where they lived and how long they lived here. Now, Tupelo was a poor city at the time of Elvis's birth, but it was also a city on its way to prosperity. These cotton mills were the first improvements, shall we say, to the Tupelo economy. The city was very aggressive at recruiting industry into this town because they knew that they couldn't rely on agriculture as the only employment. Through the years, Tupelo would recruit more and more industry. Today the town, is much larger than Elvis would remember it, maybe 50, 60,000 people here. And it's become one of the most prosperous cities in this southern region. As Elvis grew into a boy, he would seek out entertainment along with his friends such as James, and one of those places was the movie house, where they watched the Saturday afternoon features, the cowboy and Indian movies, the cartoons. We're going now into the center of town to the old Lyric Theater. So we've been bouncing around the town of Tupelo. We're back in the center of town now. And behind me is the Lyric Theater, one of the two theaters in the city when Elvis was a boy. This is a surviving theater. And as we learned from James and Guy, Elvis did a lot of normal things that boys did. They went to movies, they played games. But Elvis was a little different from the other boys in Tupelo, as we know. He really found his passion for movies here in Tupelo. He studied the actors a little more closely while watching the movies. And of course, he continued this passion as a teenager in Memphis. And as we know, he went on to a film career as well as an entertainment career. Even late in life, when he could afford to rent the theaters, his passion for movies continued. He could actually stop the projector reel, have him rewind, and watch a scene again and again, each time examining how the actors went about their business. To my left is the statue of the Confederate soldier on Tupelo. We're actually on the grounds of the Courthouse Square, which is the very center of Tupelo. And that will bring us to our last stop in Tupelo. For on the Courthouse Square, Elvis sang on radio to a live audience. We are in the courthouse lawn, Lee County Courthouse, and this is where the legal activity for Tupelo and Lee County took place. And really, in the old days, it's where a lot of the social activity of the community took place. On Saturdays, the farmers would come to town to buy, sell, and swap, and really to visit one another. What a perfect place for the radio station to create a live broadcast. WELO would actually set up a portable recording facility right here on the courthouse lawn, and Mississippi Slim, the disc jockey, would do his show right here in front of all the farmers. And as we learned earlier, Mississippi Slim's younger brother James was one of Elvis's good friends, and that was the key to get Elvis onto the radio. And on occasion, Mississippi Slim would ask Elvis to step up and sing a song, Old Shep, or some of those old favorites. And perhaps those were the first times that Elvis's voice was broadcast live on the radio. Those little radio broadcasts undoubtedly gave Elvis the courage to dream that he might have a career someday. And he left Tupelo to go to Memphis. Of course, he would start that career, a career that we all know was one of the greatest in the 20th century. So we've had a wonderful time in Tupelo. We've met some great people here, saw some very fascinating places. And if you're an Elvis fan, you must come to Tupelo, Mississippi, to the town of his birth, because you really can't understand Elvis Presley until you do so. We're going to leave Tupelo now, but we're not going to Memphis, Tennessee. No, we're going to drive 4 hours north and go to Nashville, Tennessee.